Rolling.
Hello, mate. All right.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hi. Good. Long time in the planning. Length does matter. Here we are. Finally.
Length does matter. Really, really exciting, mate. Really excited. No, but it is though, innit? It's like 3 months in the planning since we've been going. We've had loads out on the socials, stuff like that. So for me, just to get to this point, really exciting, mate. Really excited. So thank you for getting on board.
No problem.
Thank you to the big man behind the camera.
Joe.
The man who never wants to speak. The man who got involved in a cricket podcast and knows literally nothing about cricket. Unbelievably, had to Google Ben Stokes, Paul.
Just chatting before. I think you must have been at the toilet or whatever. We were talking about the Cricket World Cup, and I asked him if he knew who won the Cricket World Cup. And his response was, "I didn't even know there was a Cricket World Cup." So that's how little he does know. But thanks, Joe, for doing this. Hopefully everything's looking mint. But I couldn't agree more. I'm excited. Like I said in the WhatsApp group earlier, slightly nervous, but all in a good way, really. So here we are, finally getting underway.
Nerves are good, mate. Nerves are good. I am literally buzzing. So we're getting going tonight. Pilot episode. Got loads coming up. Loads happening on the socials. If anyone doesn't follow us, Twitter, Length Does Matter. Instagram, Length _does_ matter. Facebook, Length Does Matter. Dead easy. Get following us, guys.
Twitter handle's just Length Does.
Length Does.
Just on the handle.
We get some quite weird followers on that.
As you do
with a name like Length Does Matter. Because I got loads of messages, right?
Actually, like you came up with a name. People have asked me, like nothing to do with me.
I was getting texts, right, going, "Is this a sex podcast?" I'm like, no.
So, what we got coming up?
So, I think tonight, mate, it is our pilot episode. Just getting it out there. I think we'll do a little bit with you, Paul. Big year for you. 16 days work this year.
It was a tough season.
So you've had a tough year, mate.
I think it might have been less because I reckon we had 1 or 2 days would have been washed out. So I've grafted hard this year.
14 days graft this year.
Aye.
Christ almighty. Right.
Aye.
14 days, yeah. But with you, mate, right? 10 year now, Durham?
10 year. 11 year, I reckon.
11 year?
2009 I signed.
2009 you signed. Okay. Done me research, Paul. Now, I know we've known each other a long time, right? Mm-hmm. But unbelievably, I had to do a little bit of research. So, Chris Rushworth, released by Durham, 2006. What happened there, Paul?
2006.
Couple of problems.
Just finishing sort of the academy. That age, found other things probably more interesting than cricket. Life, one of them. I'm sure lots of young people have been in the same boat. So it didn't really feel like cricket was what I wanted to do. It was kind of lots of pressure. Was I enjoying it? I enjoyed the other side of life a little bit more, a little bit too much.
Drinking, basically. Is that what we're getting?
Yeah, I drink, women, like just generally just being a young lad, having a good time. And then things just weren't working at Durham. So Jeff said, "Look, there's no room for you. Have to go." Basically,
was that due to was that a talent thing, or was that actually, do you know what, you're not putting in what we think you should be? What were the kind of what was the rationale behind the decision?
never really know, but I wouldn't say it was through talent.
Okay.
I think the year before I might have made me List A debut, so I played a one-day game against Sri Lanka A at the Riverside while I was on the academy. I'm sure that was 2006, I reckon, 2007.
Yeah.
Got released not long after. But one of the things he said when they released us was, look, we've spoke to MCC young cricketers, like we've agreed if you want to go down there, like they'll have you. So we're not giving up on you at Durham and stuff, but we just think you might be better off elsewhere for a while. But like I say, at the time, I remember speaking to a few people who played at the YCs, the young cricketers and stuff, and it just didn't sound like I would enjoy it. And I wasn't really enjoying my cricket as much for whatever reason on the field. I couldn't put my finger on it. But I just decided to have a bit time away, really. But I tell you what, I went away that winter in Australia, and within sort of...
What plane?
Plane. I went to play in Kalgoorlie out in Western Australia. And it didn't take long for us to sort of realise, Christ, I miss being a professional cricketer here. And I mean, I was only on the academy. I hadn't had a professional contract.
Yeah.
But I was thinking to myself, I think I miss it already. And when I got back from Australia, I had a couple of trials down south. Nothing came of it. And from there, I was just like, I got a couple of jobs. Obviously, your research will tell you the jobs I've had.
Right. So, selling satellite dishes, answering phones in a call centre according to ESPN Cricket Info. Surely, go to Australia, having a taste of being a kind of full-time cricketer, lovely weather. The thought of coming back and selling satellite dishes didn't really appeal at that point. And actually, was it a kind of case of going, do you know what, actually this is what I really want to do?
So I went away. I'd been away a couple of years before, but it was the first time I'd been away not as a professional cricketer.
Aye.
So while I was away, I lined up playing for Hilton when I'd got back. So obviously Hilton was my home club. Lads I went to school with, 20 seconds up the road from where my mum and dad lived. So to me, I wanted to go and play cricket with my mates, have a bit fun, be cracking that. But at the same time, I had to get a job.
Yeah.
So got a job in a call centre. Obviously, call centres, you don't necessarily get every weekend off.
No.
So for me, wanting to play cricket every Saturday, but call centre saying, well, you can't have every Saturday off. It didn't work. So there, instantly, it was like, I don't enjoy this. So I think I might have lasted maybe 2 or 3 months at that call centre. Moved on to a night shift job somewhere. But long story short, I quickly realised professional cricket, it's what I wanted to do. So I started kind of chasing that dream again once I'd got back.
How did you do that though? Was it a case of, because I guess you've been released, you're not in that frame of mind, you didn't go to the young players. How did that re-signing come about though? Was it just through your league form?
So I had that 1 year at Hilton, which obviously at the time we were in the, the Durham, not the Durham Cricket League, it was the...
Course League?
Not the Course League. Oh my God.
So were you playing like stand-up and stuff?
No, so we played against people like Usher Moore, Eshwin, and before the County League. It was the County League before they all merged. So I had a season there, and then obviously realised I wanted to play a better standard. So I went back to Sunderland, which is obviously where me and you first met a long time ago.
The golden days.
A long time ago. So went back to Sunderland, played at Sunderland, where at the time former Durham England seamer was one of the coaches, Simon Brown, Chubby.
Oh, Chubbs, yes.
Chubby was there. Did okay at Sunderland, but I think he understood and sort of knew I was trying to get back in the game properly and stuff. So I think he was good friends with John Lewis, who was then second team coach at Durham. And then it kind of went from there, really.
So you got Chubby to put a good word in for you.
Basically, but I think he kind of did it without me really knowing. He did it on my behalf.
Yeah.
So I ended up having a few nets and stuff over the winter with the Durham lads while I was selling car insurance at a different call centre. And then one thing led to another. Got offered a 4-week trial and stuff, and then got offered a deal.
Took off from there. So that would have been when, 2009?
Early 2009.
Spot on. Now, again, looking at this, I don't know how we're going to explain this right, because I've done my research. I know you pretty well. Done my research. ESPN Cricket Info on your profile. As a rugged figure of the Durham Heritage Coast, Chris became a Durham Heritage cricketer. I'm presuming that's a Durham player. A player who, with every insistent delivery, represents the traditions and the culture of the region that he represents. What on earth does that even mean, Paul?
See, I remember so this was an article that got released last year, I'm sure it was last year, and it says rugged. I mentioned this earlier, like I'm gutted, like I'm clean shaven here, but I normally have a little bit of a beard, stubble and that. I can only assume that by heritage, I guess, I don't know, that the folk of the northeast are seen as hard work and, just straight down the mill, hard work and folk. I guess for me as a cricketer at Durham, I don't know, your typical hard work and cricketer, not blessed with massive talent, as opposed to people like Harmis and Onions, Plunkett, Stokes, people like that. Am I just your run of the mill, grafts hard for everything I've got? Well, that's how I like to see myself.
Is that how you put yourself, though? Because, look, you're my pal, right? But you look at many compliments throughout this podcast, but you are probably how many, 20-odd wickets away from being Durham's greatest ever wicket hitter, or most wickets. So that can't be just down to like, I'm a bit rugged, I'm a bit hard work. There's got to be something else in there as well, Paul. To take as many wickets as you have.
You're right. But you look at the list, though, they've all played for England.
They have. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Can't wait.
You're not getting away with that one.
Cheers.
So obviously, getting in the team, establish yourself pretty quickly. Who was around at that time when you first got back in? When you started really getting in the team, was it kind of Onions, Harmy? So they're the guys that you were around.
So
how much did you learn from those guys?
So I re-signed in 2009. I think we just won. Durham had just won this. So in 2009, they won the second of the championship. So 08, 09. So that 09 team, the bowling attack was something like Harmison, Onions, Plunkett, Callum Thorpe, Otis. Was Otis Gibson still there? Mitch Claydon, Mark Davies, Ben Harmison. So the bowling attack was pretty serious. What was it?
Did you get in at that point? Were you playing regularly?
I didn't play in 2009. Got a couple of games in 2010. So even when I started playing,
and you got your contract, you weren't really playing that much in the first team?
No, not in 2009. All second team stuff. Played a couple of games in 2010.
Yeah.
And again, opened the bowling with Harmy on a few occasions. So for a local lad coming back, playing and opening the bowling next to Steve Armison's like, it's a real deal. This like, but again, like all the other lads were playing for England at the time. People like Plunkett, Onions. So to be in and amongst it and know you're close and playing in a team that's got like 4 or 5 England internationals, you're like, must be doing something right.
Done you a favour though, to be fair, for all the lads was kind of away with England. For some, get you opportunity, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, because Onions played quite a bit for England at that point, and obviously Harmy Probably not so much. I think
Harmy
last
was
test 2009.
Just kind of.
But that kind of opens the doors on it for like younger lads to come in, do a job. I guess, was it at that point where you kind of got a bit more regular? Was it kind of 2011 where you became a bit more of a regular?
11. Nah, probably not even then. 2012, I think, really. Bits and pieces 2010. Again, bits and pieces in 2011. And it was probably only halfway, maybe a third of the way through the season 2012 when Collie took over as captain. So Colonel was captain for a year and a half. So Colonel's my cousin.
Who didn't
and I still couldn't get a game. So when Collie came in as captain, I think we were struggling down the bottom of the league. Division 1, we were fighting off relegation and stuff. Collie came in roughly halfway through the season, and I think he sat down with Jeff at the time and said, look, I think we need to go for the younger lads. So me and Jamie Harrison ended up opening the ball on left arm seamer, and we formed a decent partnership. So by the end of 2012, I think he took over as captain. We were bottom of the table or second off bottom. We ended up something like third or fourth in the league, and we had a pretty good run. That second half of the season, I think I only played maybe 6 or 7 games, finished with something like 35, 40 wickets. And I remember sat near the end of the season, we were in a taxi going to play golf somewhere with the lads, just chatting with, and I remember sat next to Colonel. Colonel was in the front. I was like, hey man, if you would have picked me at the start of the year, I could have had 50 wickets by now, just joking and stuff. But that's all it took really, just someone to come in. So Collie came in as captain, had a little bit of belief and instilled a little bit of confidence and stuff in us, and I think from there it just kind of took off.
And then next year, 2013, championship win.
Won the championship.
Guess, bit of a bittersweet year. Obviously, halfway through the season, Jeff Cook, coach, took bad. John Lewis came in, but yet you lads still went on and won the league. First full season, really, as a regular in the side. How did you find that?
Amazing, really. Like, obviously, having that sort of taste the year before, never in a million years expected that to happen. You say it started off pretty well. We didn't have an overseas player that year, so you read the media and stuff, and everyone's like, Durham are going to get relegated.
Tipping used to go down.
Every media outlet was saying, look, Durham, no overseas. They've got no big names. You know, they're going to go down. And I think we won with a game to spare, 2 games to spare in the end. But like you say, halfway through that year, obviously, Jeff got unwell, and it was one of those things where I think at the time the 2020s were just about to start, or had just started when that happened. So obviously Jeff's in hospital for the second half of the season. 2020s go on, Judge comes in. I guess the one good thing that was in our favour and in Judge's favour was he'd been second team coach for a couple of years before that. Most of the guys that were in this team in 2013 had played under Judge in the twos. Or some of us a little bit older had probably played with him at the back end of his career. So we kind of knew most of the lads pretty well anyway. So it wasn't too much of a big thing. And I guess with Jeff being in hospital and not being well, I guess it spurs lads on to think, we've got to do this for him really. Like, we've got to give it a good crack. I think we must have been near the top when it all happened. And I think the second half of the year we just had an unbelievable run. Some of the best games of cricket I've ever been involved in. At one point, there's a game we played at Trent Bridge against Notts. Very bizarre. So the third night, obviously 4-day game, the third night we were in the hotel, fire alarm goes off. So obviously it's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever, fire alarm goes off. Lads are getting up and that, coming downstairs. The whole hotel's in the front street opposite the Crown Plaza. Everyone's either got their PJs on or the hotel dressing gowns and that. You get the flippers and stuff. Like, what's going on there? Anyway, In you go, lads, back in, everything's fine. Just get back off to sleep. A couple hours later, fire alarm goes off again.
What, the old mind games in the middle of the night?
Honestly,
that's what it was?
Fire alarm goes off. I'm almost certain I was rooming with Rocky, Mark Stoneman. And he was fast asleep the second time. I had to give him a nudge and that. And I was like, shit, Rocky, I can smell smoke here, like. So you go to the door, you're in the hallway and that, and there's genuine smoke coming through the hallways. So we're like, Christ, I think something's on fire now. So anyway, we went out the back door, down the fire escape again, down the front, outside for a couple of hours. So by this time, it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. A couple of lads are wandering around, like thinking, I have to get a drink or something here. A few people have walked around the corner to McDonald's. Obviously, quite a few students just coming in from a night out at McDonald's. A couple of lads are having a bit banter with students over there. People getting coffees over there. By the time we get back to the hotel, they're like, right, the hotel's shut. If you go to this hotel round there, this hotel round there, tell them you're from the Crown Plaza, you've got a room for the night, blah, blah, blah. So by the time you get this other hotel, it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
You've got
a day 4 of a county championship game the next day. And it's like, my God, what's going on here? So anyway, we get to the ground. Lads are like,
dude,
tired, shattered. A couple of the younger lads might have even got a few birds number from that McDonald's or whatever. And it was just so bizarre. We were bowling. I think they were 7 down overnight. Graham Swan was playing for them. I think he might have slogged a quick 30 or whatever. So it turns out the game we needed. Oh, that's right. It went to tea, after tea, and we were chasing 187, something like that, off like 19 overs, 21 overs, 19 overs. And we were like, tough ask. Anyway, it was one side was Canning Small. They had a Broad, Shazad, Darren Pattinson, Graham Swan, Sama Patel. So they had 5 international bowlers in their attack.
Or a bot attack, to be fair.
And we went out, and Rocky and Colonel opened the baton, and they both whopped it. Anyway, we knocked off 187 in a 4-day game in something like 17.3 overs, won the game, after being kicked out of the hotel the night before. It was just one of them things you look back and you think, that's never ever going to happen again. But just one of them things in a year with everything that had happened, just like, it's meant to be. I remember being sat next to Will Smith, and he was like, "What a game of cricket! Like, we're going to win the league." That stuff doesn't happen without a reason.
Yeah. Championship win, first full season championship win, and then New Year's Eve that year, you decided to give the drink up. New Year's Day, I think it was actually. New Year's Day. So for them that don't know, Chris, for some reason, which I'm sure he'll explain why, decided he was going to have a dry year, not drink any alcohol for a full 12 months. Explain. I can't get my head around that, Paul.
So what it was, so I was sat, it was New Year's Day night, sat in the living room, I'm guessing watching the darts or something like that. And when you scroll through social media and stuff, January, obviously loads of people, dry January and stuff like that. And I was looking, and I was saying to me missus, and I was like, dry January, man. Anyway, it's only 30 days, anyone can do that. Like, it's not even a challenge. And instantly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it for a year. I'm going to do it for 12 months. And she was like, don't be daft. Like, why would you? And for any of my good mates, any of my mates who I played cricket with, will understand. I enjoy the beer. I enjoy a pint. And people were like, mate, you've got no chance, man. What are you doing? She was daft. Why said something you're not going to do? But at the time, one of her good mates worked for the charity, who I ended up picking. And it was a case of, if I've got something, I'm doing it for a good cause and that, then it'll spur us on. So I went. The first couple of months were pretty easy, really. I'm not going to lie. Like,
well, they were a little bit, yeah, because I guess at
So
that
from-
point it's like pre-season, getting fitter, getting back to the nets. You know, probably piece of cake. Season comes around. Actually, we feeling better in yourself.
oh,
Did you feel
massively,
fitter?
aye, massively.
I
A lot
imagine you
fitter,
would.
healthier. But I like to say, getting to the season was the hardest part. So obviously, cricket is a much more social game than things like football and stuff.
Yeah.
So for a group of lads going away, playing cricket, spending 4 nights in a hotel and that, generally, lads would play cricket, come back to the hotel, have some bait, have a couple of beers, off the bed. Obviously couldn't do that, so it was back to the hotel. That's when I found it tough.
Yeah.
The first couple of weeks of the season, lads are coming back and, you know, like, oh, do you want a beer? Oh, no, you can't have a beer, sorry. And then
Was any of the lads trying to like go on just?
Aye, Colonel.
Colonel.
Aye.
So the cousin that didn't used to
Cousin
pick,
that didn't pick us, and then he was trying to buy his pants in that. As you can tell, like
Good family member.
dead supportive family member. I think. But I think after a while, I think they all kind of got into it, and so then it became much easier after that probably first 3-4 weeks of the season, and then we had an unbelievable run in the One Day Cup. We got to Lords in the final against Warwickshire. It was a very, very intense game of cricket. Low scoring game, overcast, cloudy. Stokesy was batting with Breezy to win the game.
I remember that.
Got us over the line, and I remember being sat at Lords. Most of the lads were on the balcony, tiny little balconies at Lords. Most of them were sat out there. There was Paul Coughlin and myself sat with our pads on. He was in next, and I think I must have been in after him.
Naturally.
And we were sat there, and when you could tell he was nervous, I was nervous. I don't usually get nervous about me batting because obviously I'm not very good.
I've seen your stats, mate. Yeah. Got nothing to be worried about.
So I don't get nervous because I genuinely think, you know, it's not something that I'm strong at, so I've got now to worry about. Like, no one's expecting out. But with the game being the way it was and what was on the line and that, we sat there, it must have been 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe a bit longer. Not one of us said a word, and I was like, I think he's as nervous as me, like just thinking to myself. And when the winning runs got hit, we both kind of looked at each other, stood up, arms around each other, and that relief was like,
was it more like, I don't have to fucking bat?
Aye, it was just relief.
Than the victory itself.
Thank God we're not going out there. And then like we kind of jumped in with the rest of the lads and that. And, but that moment, from winning that, the next probably 45 minutes, 50 minutes, adrenaline through the roof, like lads are going wild, like on the beers and that in the change rooms at Lords, just won a cup final at Lords. I'm sat thinking, oh, I've done 9 months here, no drink. I reckon that's a pretty good effort, that, like, I'm going to have a can. I think it was Alan Walker, Whack at the time, the bowling coach.
Did he stop
he was like, mate, just chill out, have another 20 minutes, like, don't worry. And I, sure enough, once the adrenaline kind of settled down, I was like, done. But
was that the closest you came?
Oh, I kneeled on,
Like,
if
it hadn't been for him, would it have been like, fucking
I don't think I was tempted any other time.
Properly
not that was next level. Obviously, it's not it's not very often you play at Lords, really, but to win a cup final was pretty special. So we had John Hastings, but I were overseas at the time, but he'd been called up to Chennai Super Kings for the Champions League, so they wouldn't let him come and play in the final at Lords. He played all the games, wouldn't let him play in the final. So he was on FaceTime or sending videos to the lads and that, and he was in his hotel having beers with the boys and stuff. And it was like, oh mate, we just want to have a beer here and that. But that was the closest I got. And to be fair, that same year, I was at Old Trafford when Sunderland beat Man U in the semi-final of the Cup. I
was there.
I bet you had a few more beers than me. But I drove the lads there. One of them came back with one shoe.
So we drove down there, and what I'll say is there's 2 sporting events I've ever been to where it's like and you'll know, right? You're a Sunderland fan. That night was probably, as a sports fan, That's probably the second greatest thing I've ever been to. I think the first thing was I was at Henley for Stokes. But that night was a good celebrate. I couldn't imagine doing any of those events without having a beer. There just wouldn't have been, for me, there just wouldn't have been the same.
No, don't get us wrong, like the semi-final was mint. But by then I was well into it and stuff. And I knew I drove the lads down, they were going berserk. I think my cousin ended up, when the penalty went in at the end, he dove down the crowd or whatever he was. Ended up 6 rows down, lost his shoe in that. So
driving probably helps.
Oh, definitely. So that dry year, things where you'd normally have a beer, I think I was at 2 derbies, one at St James's Park, one at the Stadium of Light. But now that was the year after.
Oh, was it?
Semi-final was late in the year. Cup final was March or something, wasn't it? 2015.
Might have been. Apologies.
So 2 victories against Newcastle, a Lord's Cup final win, and a semi-final at Old Trafford, all without a beer.
Some boy.
Raised $6,000 for charity though, which is...
Yeah. Which charities did you help out that year?
That was for children in need.
What, like Pudsey the Bear now?
Not children in need. Oh man, Save the Children.
Cut that bit out now.
Save the Children. Save the Children and PCA. Charity Cricketers Trust.
Yeah.
So it
was all worthwhile in the end, then, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Would you do it again?
Nah. I get asked that question quite a bit.
I know, wait, you will. But like,
I think I used all my willpower that year. Plus, didn't have any kids. Got 2 kids now.
You need a beer.
Actually, well, I had a little, but Henry was only little.
Yeah, when you've got kids, you need a beer from time to time.
But now I don't think I could. Honest answer, definitely not.
Fair play.
Wouldn't want to.
But then again, when you think about it, 2014, dry year, probably got a few wickets that year, felt fitter, felt stronger, Lord's Cup final, mint. 2015, back on the drink.
Back on the drink.
Coming to your own. Back on the drink, pal. What was our first drink like? Year out of the game. Few beers with the lads. Must have been a good night, was it?
So that first drink. So you would expect it to be the 1st of January, but it wasn't. Obviously, spent that day with family and stuff. 2nd of January, Sunderland played against Leeds in an FA Cup game at Stadium of Light.
I remember it.
I think we won 1-0, and it was a pretty dull affair. Ended up out afterwards, very, very drunk.
Not surprised.
Let's just say, wife wasn't best pleased that night. But I guess a year off it, you've got to get mental.
You're entitled.
Give it a nudge.
You're entitled to one pass.
I don't.
After a year out of the game.
Looking back, I don't think turning out at 10 o'clock or whatever it was for the footy breakfast and then staying out till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you didn't
probably asking a bit too much.
Didn't have your best thinking cap on there, mate.
But that was it. Got into trouble, and I reckon I probably had another 2 weeks off it.
But 2015, personal perspective, possibly your greatest. From an achievements perspective, I guess that would have been your best year from a personal perspective. If you think that year brought the down record for the most championship wickets in the season, 83, beat Oates Gibson's record. PCA Player of the Year. Guess first full season 2 years earlier, playing first class cricket, to that within the space of 2 years, year off the drink. Pretty unbelievable 2-3 year for you, really, wasn't it? What was that year like?
I went like...
Cause didn't you get like fucking 20 wickets in a day or something?
That was 2014.
Was it?
That was the...
Cut that fucking bit out and all.
This is getting cut out,
it is, Paul.
Right?
Right?
Nah, leave it, man. So that So 2014.
2014. That was that year. What was it? 15 in a day.
That was the week before Lords.
Was it? See, I would have had a beer. I would have had a beer then. I once took a fiver and didn't go home till 3 in the morning.
I know. So
15 wickets in a day. Paul,
that's 15 in a day. So that was at Northants at the Riverside. So it broke the record for the most wickets in a game. Rocky was captain that game. I think Collie must have been injured or something. Rocky captained that game. He was stood at mid-on. Once I took the last wicket to break the club record, he was like, mate, we've got a cup final on Saturday. I think you should chill out and have a couple of days off. And naturally I just went, aye, right, no bother, absolutely fine. But looking back now, there was still 4 wickets to get in that second innings. I just think, you know what, I wish I'd kept bowling. I could have took another.
So you could have got 19.
I could have got more wickets.
You would have had to rip the ball out of my hand if that was me.
And it could have been a record that might never get broken. Whereas looking now,
is it like a record in English cricket? That
not English cricket,
but obviously for Durham.
It's Durham's most wickets in a game.
15.
So it was 15 in a day. It turned out
15 in a day. So someone's took more than 15 wickets in a day before.
I think back in the day when you used to play 120 overs and that, I'm sure there's this. I remember obviously when it happened and that there was loads of stats and names and that got chucked at us. But I'm sure someone's once took 17 in a day, I think. But again,
madness.
A bit before my time.
Does that, from your perspective, does that stuff? Do you ever sit and do you realise at the time, or was it like, fucking right, this is my job? Like, I've took 15 minutes a day, it's mint, but like, right, I've got a game next week. Or do you like...
you'd know at the time, a little bit. You don't like think about it too much, but you'd know.
Aye.
Like you think, bloody hell, it's mint this like.
Aye.
But you see, like some of my closest friends now all love their cricket and they're massive Durham fans. So when I sit down with them, and now and again you sit and you have a pint in the cricket club or whatever, and just like you reminisce about stuff, and people say, "Man, make remember when you did this," and you talk about that, or they mention it to other people, right. And you kind of sit there and you just think anything.
I guess it's when Peter. I think when Peter. I guess if Peter came up to you and were like, "Oh, well done for this or well done for that," then it'll probably hit home a little bit more, won't
it? But you know, I guess as well. Now I'm getting that little bit older. I'm getting closer to the end of my career, I guess. I don't know. You do look back and you think of these special moments and that, and like my old man, my dad's my biggest fan by a mile. Like he watches all.
Does he ever miss? Does your dad ever miss a day's cricket?
Not a lot. So that year when I took all the wickets and got PCA Player of the Year, he came to every single game, home and away. Watched every ball I bowled, every single ball that year, which is incredible, really. So obviously it cost him however much money to travel around the country watching. But he never missed a ball, and obviously it turned out to be worthwhile because all the achievements and stuff.
Mint that
but now he's been there for most of the milestones and that, which is good.
Yeah.
Where were we?
2015. Do we need to go any further than that?
No.
Why not?
Do we? Do you?
No.
Nah.
Well, I'm sure at some point later in the series we'll chat about it, because it's all kind of downhill there from you.
Well, hey, I've done all right.
500 wickets. We'll talk about that later on in the series.
Aye, plenty to talk about. So anyway, enough talking about me. Obviously, we started playing cricket a while ago, I met you playing cricket a while ago.
A while ago.
What was it? Ashbrook. I reckon I was 13, 14 maybe, playing under 15s at Sunderland.
Yeah, that's when we met.
When we first crossed paths.
First cross paths.
15,
Will it be?
Junior cricket at
so
Sunderland.
I'm what? A couple of years older than you? Yeah, because where do you come from? Hilton?
So I started at Hilton, and the Premier League formed, so we moved to Sunderland.
Who? You and your Lee?
Me, my brother.
Your cousin?
My dad. No.
Yeah? How came?
He came later on. A few years later, he did.
Did he?
Right. Alan
Was it
came.
not the same? I thought it was.
Nah,
I thought your Lee and Al and you all came at the same time.
A few years later.
Them were the days, man.
A long time ago that.
But we play a lot of junior cricket together.
One of very few people I've ever seen turn up to a game of cricket with a tab.
Junior cricket.
Junior cricket.
Which tells you how seriously I took my cricket.
For a decent cricketer back in the day as well. you were all right. Junior cricket, you did all right, didn't you?
I was not like junior cricketer. I guess, yeah, you're right. I guess when you're playing under 18s,
it's not something you see very often. Someone turning up with a bag in his mouth.
Yeah, all the lads are knocking up, and I'm sitting outside the dressing room smoking a fag. Guess my days were numbered in terms of making it as a semi-decent local cricketer.
Guess we've gone different career paths. I had a stint in the call centre. You've had 16.
I've had 16 everyone. So them was it really worth it for them fags, was it?
Done you well, eh?
I've given up and all. So I haven't even stuck with them.
So you reeled off my stats earlier. I did a little bit of research myself because I knew that was coming. And when I say I did a little bit of research, I didn't have a choice. There was only a little bit I could find of Jonathan Hayes on play cricket. So what
I will say is, I dare say, not all of those stats will be on player cricket. Because whoever inputs things into player cricket doesn't do it on a regular and consistent basis.
Right.
So let's, however many wickets I've got.
So what you're saying, if your stats are shit, it's not your fault?
Yeah.
Right.
Double whatever you're fucking looking at there, Paul.
Right, so obviously you've had three clubs. Started off at Sunderland, but I think play cricket wasn't around back in the day.
No.
So your two clubs, Silksworth and Ryup. And I would say as you took 70-something wickets in all teams. For both clubs, actually, it's very similar. So on play cricket, you've got about 150 wickets between two clubs. So I think it spans. I'm sure the first year was like 2011 up to season just gone. 5 games you played. Hang on. Actually, earlier, you had a go at me for playing 15 days of cricket this year, 16 days of cricket. You've bowled 15 overs this year, mate.
I've bowled more than fucking 15 overs this year.
Not on that.
Wait there.
15 overs and you've took 5 wickets.
I'll tell you exactly. No, that is a complete fallacy. I've played. So I only play Thursday nights now, right?
How many can you bowl? How many can you
overs, I've played 5 league games, and I've played a cup final.
Right.
And I bowled 4 overs in that.
So that's 16
overs. By the way,
overs.
I had my best figures of the season in the cup final.
Which
4 overs, 3 for 19. Right? Which, if I look at your figures, right? Let's have a look at them.
What do you want to know? I'll tell you.
Your best ever T20 figures, Paul.
3 for 20 something.
There you go.
All right, professional T20, the Thursday night cup final.
Look, it's all about your figures, Paul. I can only bowl at what's put in front.
Is that the last game you played?
That was the last game I played.
Right, so you're only as good as your last game.
3 for
19
or 4 overs.
Do you know what my last figures were? 7 for 90?
No, they weren't.
Oh, they weren't.
You bowled in the fucking second, didn't?
Aye, that's it. None for 40 or 3 overs.
Well, there you go then.
Aye, shite. That one backfired.
So, look at my figures. Half of them are missing, I dare say.
Aye, no, you're right. But on play cricket, it says your best ever figures were, controversially, for Ryup against Silksworth, who you previously played for, and it was 7 for 20 odd, something like that, I think.
What can I say?
Had it on a string.
Wow,
was it at Silky?
Was that Silksworth?
Aye, that'll be right. All you got these hit the pitch and you tap wickets.
Again.
Speaking of your bowling, right, in the WhatsApp group last week, Joe wanted some footage of my bowling.
And what did he get? Footage of my bowling.
And we got a few pictures of your bowling action.
Right.
Which, by the way, I'm not sure Walt Disney could draw it.
Right.
But you must have fallen over a few times in your follow through bowling like
Mate,
that.
do you know what, right?
Is there a story here?
So there is a story here, right?
I've heard this.
So I was bowling. I've done this loads of times, right? Do you know Mark Wood falls over when he bowls?
Aye.
I do that, right? I don't know whether it's because I'm a little bit top heavy or what. Probably is, right?
I think it's just a fast bowler
No,
thing, mate.
it is. It's because I just get through my action so fucking quickly. But I had a couple of years where I would run in and I'd get really, really close to the stumps and I'd fall over. But there was this one game I was playing, right? It was at Silksworth. And I ran in as normal, got really, really close to the stumps, fell over, knocked the fucking bails off. Kids smashed it, caught in the boundary. He was on about 5.
Does it get given a no ball for hitting the stumps?
Given a no ball, pal. Didn't get him. Went on, got 100.
Oh, wounded.
They were about 250 for one after 45 overs. We probably got skittled out for about 60, if I remember right.
Like.
Bad day at the office, mate. But yeah, I don't know. What do you mean Walt Disney couldn't draw it? Textbook action, pal.
Well,
we'll get some, right. What we'll do, right? We'll get some footage. My actions, textbook. We'll get in the nets. Over
I got told, right?
You got told.
Like I say, I've done my research. I've been asking around about the infamous Jonny Hayes. Mm-hmm. Apparently, you fell over in your ball while you were bowling.
Yeah.
Every game in one season.
I will have done.
Every time you bowled.
Every time,
over.
what? Every delivery.
Well, you said
once year, in that game.
Every game.
I do. Your spikes weren't long enough. Couldn't afford it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But
look, I'll play cricket for the crack, mate. I play cricket for the enjoyment.
Mate, don't we all?
I'll never, you'll not hear me talking about me bloody 15 wickets in one day. One, because it's never happened. But look, I play for the enjoyment. I have a few beers with the lads after, and that's what it's all about, man. The life of a village cricketer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is all about beers after the game.
The one thing I love about playing club cricket when I get the chance, and to be honest, the last couple of years I haven't played a great deal. One, the opportunity doesn't come up as much as it used to. 2, a young family and that. If I get a day off, there's no chance me missus lets us.
Hang on, you play golf Saturdays?
In the winter. And when there was no cricket, not when during a full summer, there's no way I'm getting allowed to play golf.
Wasn't it 18 months ago? You were texting me, supposed to be playing cricket against me, desperate to play cricket against me.
I don't think I played golf, did I?
No, you were playing club cricket, mate, because your text is going, I'm playing against you today. Are you playing? I was like, no, I'm not very well. I'm injured. So you must play a little bit of club cricket.
I have played a little bit, but when I do play, the one thing I love is just having a beer after the game, having a bit crack. You don't get it as much in the first class game now as you used to. So coming back and playing with mates and sitting down having a beer and that, you can't beat it. For me, that's what cricket and sport should be. Obviously, when you're playing and that, take it as serious as you want. Whatever level of cricket you're playing, whether it's proper cricket, first class cricket, club cricket, village cricket on a Sunday, social cricket on a Sunday. Once you've finished playing the game, have a beer with the opposition, be with your mates, and I think that it's the way it should be.
The cricket is secondary to the drinking session off in club cricket. 100%. That's what it's all about. It's a day out the house, and I often think about club cricket, and I kind of.
Will your missus watch this or listen to this? So if you just said that,
do you know what?
Well, she think actually you're only playing cricket to get away from me.
Mate, she'll probably. My missus will probably fucking listen to your bit and think. And then
she'll fall asleep by the time you come on.
So she might not get to this bit. No, but it is. It's about club cricket, right, for me, and for anyone who listens or watches this and plays club cricket, I hope you'll agree with this. Like, the cricket itself is fine. It's all right. It's good. But for me, it was always and always will be about just sitting with your pals afterwards, having a beer, having a bit of chat. Do you know what I mean? And that's for me what it's all about. And the minute that stops getting interesting is the day I'll stop playing. Irrespective of how many times I'll fall over when I ball.
Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean? No, I love it, man. I love the crap of the lads. I love playing. Doesn't matter what standard it is. That's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? And it's just it's class, man.
Like, it is mint. Like, my little lad's just starting to get into it now, and I love going and watching. And it's not about, obviously, I love watching him, how much he loves it. He's meeting new friends.
Yeah.
But as a parent, even going watching and just having a big crack with other parents and that, and just a very, very social environment. But I love playing Saturday cricket.
We've got
last orders.
We've got a minimum of 8 episodes planned. Right? Who have we got coming up first?
Bumble. David Lloyd next week. Hopefully we'll get him in the studio next week. Or saying studio, we'll get him on Zoom.
I was going to say, we're doing well to get him in the studio. What are you? I think out of all the guests, we've got some top guests lined up. We're not going to give away too much. What are you most looking forward to speaking to Bumble about?
Just general crack. I'm quite excited to hear some stories, because I think, have you said you've seen him at an after dinner, like an after dinner speaker, or have you seen him as a guest or something like that? Or someone has, anyway. Someone I know has seen him as an after dinner speaker, and they reckon he's up there with one of the best around. So I'm quite excited to hear some of his stories. I've chatted to him briefly over messages and stuff, and I know he's so when we put out the what topics do people want to talk about and stuff in the future, someone mentioned the county schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, when I've chatted to Bumble, he actually wants to talk about county cricket and things like that, so that'll tie in quite nicely with him.
Yeah.
But I just generally having a bit of banter with him and just chatting to him, because I've only spoke to him a few times briefly, and he comes across like you see him on the telly.
I want to know about the...
I'm all good. Cheers.
Thank you. I'm really, really interested to know about just the sky crack for me, mate. Like, when they go on tour, just the stuff they will get up to. You can just imagine the crack between them lads is just unbelievable, between him, Atherton, Nasser. You know, Beefy will have been involved at some point, Gower. I just think that if we can get some stories out of him on that crack, that'll be absolutely amazing. Then we've got Simon Jones.
Jonah's going to come on,
Jonah's going to come on. Be different podcast, that one, I think, man. I think for a couple of reasons. Obviously, more of a modern day player. But I kind of guess there's a bit of a... He's got this, obviously, the 2005 Ashes. But I guess because of injuries and stuff, he didn't quite fulfil.
I agree.
He didn't quite have the career he probably deserved. And I guess for me, and I think, you know what, we're going to have a lot of laughs in this podcast, right? We're going to have a lot of good crack, but I think for me, there'll also be some serious sides to this, and I think how he dealt with some of them, like, horrific injuries. I think there was that injury in...
Sydney. Was it Sydney?
Brisbane, maybe?
Brisbane.
Before the Ashes. And then,
is that where he slid on the boundary?
Yeah, he slid on the boundary.
Was it not during the Ashes?
It was I think it was a warm-up, or the first test or something like that. We'll find out anyway. But then, obviously, the Trent Bridge test was the last test he ever played, and I didn't know that till we started reading about him. So I'm really looking forward to meeting Simon. And then we've got 6 more lined up.
We've got
any
some
clues, Russie?
Don't want to give too much away. We've got a couple confirmed, which we'll sit down now and have a crack with. But we don't want to give it all away too soon. You know, we want to get people
big
listening.
names.
We might, I don't know, spur of the moment, get some people in, some stage, get someone on the phone. If we've got no one lined up, you know, we might randomly, I've got a few people on my phone, I just hand my phone over to Jonny and say, have a crack. If pick a name, mate, have a go if the answer. I'm not saying everyone's going to answer, but you know, we'll figure ways of filling it up. But now we've got some amazing cricketers, past and present, lined up, so it's all looking good.
Class. And then live quiz. I'm absolutely buzzing for this. I am really excited for this, right? So we are taking a massive risk here, right? We've not even released a podcast yet, or, you know, it's the first podcast we're releasing. We're going to do a live quiz on YouTube, right? Streamed live on YouTube. You don't know this yet, but the people watching are going to be playing against you. So I'm going to be quiz master for the night. So we're going to test your cricket knowledge, Rushy, which, given the crap we've had, I don't think people will have too much trouble beating you, pal. For a professional cricketer,
I know some things, but if you go in the past, nah.
Have to get your.
I'm happy to play along, but
get your wisdom manuals out, Paul. So we'll
I've
do
only
that.
got one wisdom in the house, actually.
Well, get it out, Paul. Get it out.
I best get
Swat
reading.
up. Get on the internet. No, but we are going to do that, and you know, Joe's done some fantastic stuff. We'll be live on YouTube next couple of weeks. Something will be going out the socials about that. Get as many people along as possible. I think, for me, pubs are shutting left, right, and centre. Join us for a beer. We'll have a really good night.
Right.
Nothing too serious. We'll all have a few beers. We'll have a big crack live on YouTube. Features wise, Rushy, where we at?
What we got? I think we've got an email address. So if people want to get in touch with us at
lengthdoesmatter@outlook.com.
So I don't know, like, if people have got ideas or if people want to put anything to us, I think we're the kind of lads that, you know, we're happy to just go with the flow, really. I mean, obviously, given I'm still professionally in the game, there's sort of certain limits and stuff for me, but as far as Jonny goes, Johnny's pretty more open to stuff, which I think we'll use. You're quite keen, aren't you?
I'll do out. I'll do out. I've got no to lose.
I had a little bit of crack earlier, didn't we, on the WhatsApp? If you've got someone in your club side, if the viewers have got someone in the club side who generally gets the piss taken out of them quite a bit, and they fancy themselves as a bit of a big time Charlie, you know, send us a little story or whatever, and
I'll wind them up.
Pass a phone number, and Johnny will give them a ring, and we
wind them up. Don't you worry
wind
about
them up
that.
or do whatever. So that's something we can look at. If anyone's got any stories on a teammate and that, just send them in. We're happy to read stuff out. But
lookalikes.
Lookalikes.
That
was one of them.
I'll tell you why, right? I am terrible with names, right? So I literally make names up for people. So they'll be like, people will be going, oh, such and such, he took like 5 wickets against us last year. And I'm like, who? I don't remember his name. And then I'm like, oh, right, yeah, fucking Penfold off Danger Mouse. Or like Ron Weasley or something. So anyone, if you've got people in your club who you've got really, really good lookalikes, tag us in Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You know, we'll get them on the screen. We'll put them on we'll put them on the YouTube, right? Just for a big crack. But then the other one we're going to do.
Hang on, just before, because I know it'll come. So one of my best mates calls me Pilko, Carl Pilkington.
Do you know what? I'm sitting looking.
Even Joe's giggling behind the computer there.
Sitting looking at you already, right? Going, he looks like someone, him.
Miserable, complaining twat. I call Pilkington. Pilko,
I like that. We'll get that one.
Before anyone comes at it, I've already got it.
Right. Okay. One we are going to do though, Rushy, with the guests is obviously COVID related. we're all sticking by the rules. The rule is 6, etc., etc. So, you're on your first night out, never been out yet. You're allowed out with 5 pals, teammates or ex-teammates. Who you taking along and why?
Right. First on the list, I would say it's only one, got to be number one. It's going to be before he was a megastar. The ultimate number one, Stokesy.
Can I just say, right? So, Joe, our producer, the man who hilariously knows nothing about cricket, had to Google Ben Stokes.
I find this incredible. Not from a cricket point of view, but just even if you know what's going on in the world, like this time last year, England had just won the World Cup. He destroyed Australia in one Ashes. His name was everywhere.
And Joe doesn't know who he is.
Never even heard of him.
Right, why Stokesy?
I think his reputation precedes itself, really.
Is he going to look after you all?
He's just an animal, or he was on the when we were out. Just an out and out good bloke. Enjoyed himself. These days, I think he's quite happy to get a table in certain places and that just to get the lads in. But obviously now he's a little bit too much of a megastar for stuff like that. So always. Obviously, he was a former housemate of mine, which I'm sure we'll touch on later in the series. So many times out with Stokesy, and always a good laugh. So he's number one.
Yeah.
Number 2, similar time as I was with Stokesy, Mitch Clayton. Mitch is now playing at Sussex. He's just been done for ball tampering, but we can touch on that later on. But Mitch, if you don't know, he's a bit of a magician.
What, like fucking card tricks?
Exactly like card tricks. Well, he's got another party trick. We might have to get him on to see if he'll explain that. But he's a magician. He can do card tricks and take your watch off your wrist and that without knowing.
Get away.
But at the same time, I love a good night out, good fun, like great banter. Funny man. He's a great guy to have in your changing room on rainy days. Just because he's an idiot.
Yeah. Just a joke.
He's the kind of... he is, but he's a bloke that if he'd said something serious, you wouldn't believe him.
Aye.
Like we said, Rashid, mate, your mother's just died. You'd be like, nah, mate, don't believe you. Bullshit. But he's good. Who else?
That's 2.
2. Dale Benkenstein.
Yes.
When I first
good player for Durham,
amazing. As far as cricket goes, he's one of the best. His sort of knowledge of the game and that's unbelievable. His talent, unbelievable. But off the field, I guess you typical kind of South African, like very very loose, aggressive, but loose. Like love to be would never go too big if the situation didn't allow, but when the situation was right, he knew how to enjoy himself.
Good company.
Absolute legend. So I'll stick with the South African thing. Lad that's in our team at the minute now, a young lad called Bryden Cars. Just spent the winter with England Lions. Has a huge future in the game ahead of him.
To be fair, you're not normally wrong about this stuff, because I remember me and you having a conversation 7-8 years ago when I think Ben Stokes was just coming through, and I went, what's he going to be like? I just remember, I remember it. You just went, he'll be the best player in the world,
and here we are.
Here we are.
Aye.
Joe still doesn't know who he is.
Sorry. I know. So Carsey, massive cricket career ahead of him. Off the field, one of, if not, the craziest men I've ever met.
Crazy.
Oh, loose.
We're getting him
incredible.
on. He's coming on.
He will come on. He only lives around the corner from here as well.
Champion.
So we'll get him on. Actually think he's gone to South Africa for the winter. If not, we'll get him on Zoom anyway. But we were in pre-season last year in South Africa. We got given the night off, or the morning off, so we were allowed a night out. And there's a move you do in the gym which enhances your core. So that's like your stomach muscles and that.
I know very little about moves, mate.
So anyway, Carty was on the tabletops in this pub doing the dead bug and that, which is like a core movement.
Fair play.
But there's a few more stories where I'm sure he'll come on and we'll get stuck into them. So what's that? Number 4, last one. I got to see the big man. Mentioned him earlier, John Hastings.
Right.
The big Aussie fella. What an animal. I've never seen a man put drink away like it.
He's about 6'6" though.
He's 4 bigger. 6'8", very, very broad. Country boy from us. Again, I'm sure, there's an opportunity we can get him on the pod like he.
Get him all on, Paul. Get him all on.
But now there's plenty of stories out we can crack on. So my 5 in the rule of 6 would obviously be myself because I'm min crack. But Benke, Mitch Claydon, Bryden Cass, Stokesy and big Jonny Hastings.
And he was on reserve in case we got a drop out.
Reserve, drop out for. Drop out's going to be someone who'd come out late notice, probably someone quite local.
Scotty's coming back, isn't he?
Scott's coming back. He's not.
Scotty alright to make out?
He's not first reserve. I'm going to say Ryan Pringle.
Aye.
I've had a good few nights out with Ryan Pringle. Brings a lot to the party. I will say Ryan. Good lad, local lad. Good drinker.
That's what you want, Paul.
Good crack. So there's Scotty will be second reserve.
Well, we might get Scotty on.
I'm sure he'll come on, definitely, when he comes back up.
Doubt you're going to be on his list if he listens to this.
Nah, well, he's been in London, and he's got all the posh rich kids with him down there.
He'll have a good list.
Little lad from Hilton's not going to be on that list.
The maid in Chelsea.
Wimbledon, I think he's been living in Wimbledon, hasn't he?
Has he?
Or near Wimbledon, hasn't he? So
very nice, very nice. Right, thanks for that, mate. Right, so lots going on. We've got recording planned next few weeks. This will be out at some point. We'll leave that bit out, Joe. Live quiz, keep an eye on the socials. Really, really, really looking forward to it. But for now, Rushy, really enjoyed this tonight, man. Thank you very much.
No, time's gone quickly.
Yeah.
But just anyone listening, get liking, following, subscribing to all the channels and that. To make it massive, have loads of fun.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Right, thanks Rushy.
Thanks, mate. Good on you.
Cut.